Hi guys, welcome back to my workshop. I'm going to show you today the last step in how I do individual link tracks or weathering tracks for my armor models. And we've gone through the process of putting a rusty color on the tracks and kind of individually coloring them, putting them together to get a basic shape. And at this point, right before we assemble them onto the tank itself, I want to put a little bit of wear on it, and that's this last step that I'm going to show you. So the first thing that I do is, and I'll skip this step in the video just because it takes a little bit of time, but I'll put this track wash from AK Interactive on there. It's a nice dark brown wash that kind of gets in the recesses and highlights those shadows. And just like any wash, we'll put it on with a wide brush, and then we'll let that dry, and then we'll take just some white spirits like this, and we'll just kind of bring out that color again, and we'll release the top coat of it. And once that's done and dry, then we'll come back in with these pigments, and I'm going to use this AK a dark steel pigment on this particular task. But you can use a number of different things. You can use this MIG carbon steel pigment, which it's got a little bit of fleck color in there, but it'll work as well for you too. If you have the old SNJ metallic product, this polishing powder, which is a very bright aluminum, really good stuff if you can find it. I know it's out of production, but it'll work as well. It's a little bit brighter, so you may want to tone it down a little bit, but excellent product as well. And if you really, if you don't want to use the pigments because they are messy, you'll see it gets all over your hands, you can always go with the Humbrol metal coat. I love this paint. It dries to a very dull, chalky kind of gray color, but you buff it out just a little bit and it shines right up. It's great stuff. The problem here, for me on this one anyways, is that it's going to take a little bit of time because it's a paint. You got to paint it on, let it dry, buff it out. It can go much quicker using the pigments. So I've prepped my track, I've put my dark wash on it, and I've already started doing this here. And I do the inside of the track first, which I'm going to demonstrate for you here. I put a little bit of this polishing powder on a foam applicator tip stick, and I'm just going to kind of work it in, being very gentle, because again, these individual links that are not workable, they're just glued together, are very delicate, and the more you press on it, the more chance you have of breaking them, like that and that. So just be patient with it. They'll all go back together when you mount it onto the tank. But you can see that as I run it over here and I just kind of burnish it on the high portions, it gives me that really nice worn metallic look that these metal tracks should have. And once I'm done with the insides, then I'm going to go ahead and mount it on the tank itself. And I'll super glue the tracks in place so that they're secure. And then I can come back in. Again, I've washed the tracks so that the shadows are highlighted or deepened, and then I'll take my stick with the polishing powder, and as you can see, I can just come right over the top of these individual links, and where they're going to wear on the ground the most, I'm going to highlight that and buff it out to a really nice little metallic sheen. Keep in mind that a lot of this track that you're working on is not going to be seen, so if you want to experiment with it, I would recommend the top of the track, because that's usually going to be covered by the upper hull and you're not going to see it, so you can kind of work out the kinks in your process. But once you get this all done and you put it on there, I think it gives a really nice elegant look to the tracks. They look authentic to me. They're worn, they've got shiny spots where the metal's been exposed, they've got the rest in there, they've got a little bit of darkness with the shadow with the wash. And now at this point, once they're mounted onto the chassis, you can of course come in and do any of the weathering that you want to do as far as mud, dirt, dust, all that kind of good stuff on here. And also just note that I have pre-weathered the hull of the tank so that I don't have to fiddle around with knocking the tracks off. If I want to go back in there and put a little more detail, it's already done. So that way I'm just working with the tracks themselves. And this pretty much completes the lower hull for me. Once this is done, I put the upper hull on, glue it in place, and then I do my final painting and weathering. So, hope you enjoyed that. Hope I gave you some good tips on working with individual link tracks and how to color them, weather them, wear them. And I hope to see some posts on the group page of your work. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it, guys. See you.